Okay, so this is going to be a really long episode, and it is mostly of me talking. So apologies if that bothers you, but what's going to happen in this episode is basically this is not metalwork. I had taken a break from metalwork, and I had to kind of repair something, a problem that I made when I tried to repair something on my engine, and we'll get into that. But basically, what you're going to see in this episode is just basically me like talking out loud, trying to like problem solve, trying to figure out the best way to move forward. So it is a lot of me just kind of talking and saying, you know, trying to wrap my brain around what the problem is and maybe what the solution is. So apologies that it's going to be just a lot of me talking, but this might be valuable to someone to hear, or to just see the process of maybe what problem solving might look like for you, or what it looks like for me anyways. And you really don't get to the repair of it until I'm like done all the talking. So it's just going to be a lot of just kind of like train of thought. This is what I'm thinking. This won't work. Let's maybe do this. But just to give you a backstory on what's happened here is that I had built my engine. I had a teeny tiny oil leak, and I went to go and try and fix it, which what I needed to do is just put in an oversized stud, like a step stud. So the studs that go down in the sump plate there are 6 mil, or they're M6, and you can get a step stud that goes 8 to 6, and you can oversize your hole and put that in. And so that's what I needed to do, but I botched it, and I created an even worse oil leak. And this is just me now having to go and repair that again. The other thing that I needed to repair was that when I made the first repair, that was the bad repair, I ended up messing up because the stud I was needing to replace was the one that had the oil pickup tube connected to. So there is a stud that goes up into your case and connects to your oil pickup tube and holds it down. If you don't have something to hold that oil pickup tube down, it'll flop around and you might lose your oil pressure. So that was the other element of this, was that I needed to reattach that oil pickup tube. And if any of you are familiar with getting up into that space and trying to, you know, connect that oil pickup tube or do anything there, you really almost can't do anything. The time to do that is when your case is split. But I was way past that fact. So my engine was built. I made a mistake. Oil pickup tube is now flopping around. I've got leaking oil, and I needed to make some repairs. And so that made this repair especially tricky, because I needed to get up into a really tight space. I had to work it so that I didn't drop the nut or the lock washer down into the case. So it became a kind of a production of just a lot of things that could possibly go wrong, and then trying to figure out how to do all these things. So what you're going to see is just sort of me like going through and the thought process and things like that. And what I did end up doing is the thing that I hate seeing on cars, which I'm sure you probably hate seeing on cars too, is, a Volkswagen, we're dealing with metric measurements. So everything is metric. And I do the thing that I hate seeing on cars, and you do too, is I actually ended up replacing the stud. Instead of with an M8, I replaced it with something standard. And I'll get into that in the video, but basically the reasoning is I just needed something just slightly bigger than the M8, and the standard size was going to do that. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. It's not going to look pretty, but it's not wrong. It's not right. And that's just something that I know is just kind of something a little bit goofy on my engine. But the good news is that so this happened a couple of years ago. And since I've made the repair, I'll just report right now, I haven't had any oil leaks out of those studs, or anywhere for that matter. So my engine, as of now, and I've been on the road with it only 1,000 miles, so not very long, but there's no oil leaking there. So I can say that what I did here in this video, it ended up working. It ended up being fine. It was such a pain to do. But this is another video where I just get to show where I get to just repair a mistake that I made. And that's kind of what building cars is going to be like sometimes. You're going to make mistakes and you're going to have to go back and fix it. So it's good to be able to see maybe how someone else has done it, or maybe it's just good to see that other people are doing stupid things too. So, so just enjoy the video, enjoy the repair, and yeah, maybe you've had something like this happen to you as well, and you had a good solution. If you did, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear. All right, you guys voted, and we are going to fix this oil leak finally. This happened last year, and I didn't ever show what happened because it was a little bit frustrating for me. But we're gonna have a look and see what happened, and then maybe you guys will be able to, you know, not do the same thing that I did. So, last year I put this engine together, you guys remember, and I put it all together, everything great. I had a little teeny tiny oil leak that I tried to fix from that stud right there. And all I needed to do was just get an oversized stud and fix it. But I had some problems. I've got some problems here too, you can see. So there. Anyways, I'm gonna drain the oil, take the plate off, and show you what happened. Okay, I've decided I needed to do this in 2 videos. So I'll come back and show you what's going on under there afterwards. But while I'm at it, I figured maybe now's a good time. I'll just, after I deal with all the oil stuff, I think I'll adjust the valves, and I might readjust my carburetor because I just feel like maybe it's idling a little bit low. So we'll have a little bit of that this week too. So yeah, stay tuned for part 2. I will show you what's happening underneath. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but this is my problem stud. And if you can see, when I retapped it, drilled it and retapped it for that oversized little stepped stud, I put it in crooked. So that's not gonna do any good. So yeah, we gotta fix that. And so we got a few things I gotta think about. But yeah, also this little thing didn't seem to be very effective. I don't know. Okay, so normally what you do, and what I did was I tapped for an M8, and that's what you do, or you can get a little sleeve and use your M6 again. But because I already tapped for an M8, I'm not going to be able to re-tap again for an M8 and put it in like square and straight. So I've kind of go this route is what I'm thinking, and I've got to tap for an M10 and then still use my little step stud. Am I going to have enough space to do that? I have no idea. Am I even going to be able to get it in straight? I have no idea. I got to make a tool so that I can drill it in straight. So that's what we're working on, is trying to figure out how we can get it tapped so it goes in perfectly straight and I don't have a problem. We'll see. I don't know. Okay, so I'm basically done for the day. I need to go out and get some new drill bits. Ones that are going to tap for the size that I need. I'm a little bit worried, guys, that the M10 is going to be just on the margins of like too big. But I got to give it a try. I think it'll work, even if it is just on the margins of too big. It's not like where it's at. It's like, this is like low torque stuff, and it's just holding, you know, the plate on and all that sort of stuff. So I got to give it a try. I'm telling you, I think it'll just be just almost too big. But we'll try anyways. But this engine was my first engine build. The case is on its very last align bore. So once it craps out, I'm going to do another big engine rebuild anyways, whenever that is. So I'm not too concerned if it doesn't work perfectly. Let me just put it that way. I might even, down the road, use the engine I got from Fender and put it in Helen, because I know that was basically a new engine, and I might end up using that anyways. So we're going to run with what we got. If it craps out and is terrible in a couple years, no worries. Okay, so just doing more like thinking on that oil leak with those studs that need to be fixed up. Thank you for everyone who has actually reached out and tried to help me understand some things. It's a good reminder that I need to slow down and consider lots more things that I'm considering. I'm kind of getting used to this bodywork phase where if I mess something up, I can really fix it. But for this, if I mess it up, that's a whole bigger job to try and fix. So I'm going to take it a lot slower than I thought I was going to take it, and we're going to work our way through some options and see if we can make it work. But I think that's the right thing. I think I'm going to try and I'm not going to rethread for 10 millimeter. I think that's like last ditch effort type deal. I think I'll just try and rethread that one 8 millimeter stud, straighten it out, use some red Loctite, see if we can get it sticking in there and sealing. We are just going to try that first. And then I found another product from Loctite. I've got it in stores if you want to check it out. It's just like for reforming a thread. So we've got options. We've got plan A, plan B. We're just going to work through them. We're not going to jump to the stupid idea first, which from doing body work, I've gotten away with that a little bit, but I can't get away with that here. Do the smart thing and work our way through the process. I've been thinking about this stud I need to replace all day. So I'm just working my way through the options. So the regular studs that go in there are 6 mil. So what if I switch to standard? Instead of metric, go to standard. I've got a little size conversion chart here. 6 millimeter is like, in inches, 236 thousandths. If I go to standard size, 1/4 inch, that we know is 25 hundredths or 250 thousandths if you want to just keep it consistent. So is 1/4 inch standard size okay, so the difference there is it's like, we'll round up to it's 14 thousandths bigger. Is that a big enough span now that I tap for 1/4 inch with a sleeve, because I'll have to have a sleeve still, a little insert. If I tap for 1/4 inch with a insert, is that very small margin of it being a little bit bigger enough? Well, is it enough? Like, is that 13, 14 thousandths going to be enough to just be a little bit bigger, the insert now a little bit bigger, everything fitting a little bit snugger, if you follow? So that's where I'm at. 10 mil thread insert, too big. And that would have made it so I could use this little stepped stud again. But I think that's not the right thing to do. So instead of 8 millimeter with like a 10 mil insert, what if we go 1/4 inch with a little insert that'll accept that? I don't know. That's where I'm at, guys. And looking at this and looking online at some things, it's easier for me to switch over to standard and just take incremental steps up. Whereas in metric, finding those studs for those sizes, it's a little bit trickier. I'm finding I can't find what I need. Maybe just easier to find some of those standard sizes. This is going to be a long video. I'm just realizing I've got a lot to say. And I hate to disappoint some of you, which I'm going to, but I just got to do what's going to work for me. I have the benefit of being here and kind of seeing what's in front of me. And so I might not do what you like. I might not even show what I do. Let's just put it this way. I have a thread insert of some kind, and I'm going to try it. And remember, this isn't like a forever engine. I just needed to get me on the road and having fun. And then we're going to rebuild again. Not rebuild, new build. We're going to build. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to try a few things. We'll start still at the 8 mil. And if that doesn't work, we're jumping to standard. We'll go 1/4 inch. We'll see what happens. I know you guys love it. Okay, here we are. So I got my regular little oil studs in. They're great. They are so good. This is my problem one from the beginning. This was already tapped for 8 mil, which is why I couldn't go back down to like 6 mil or just tap it straight for 1/4 inch. I had to tap it for 1/4 inch with a sleeve, just to clarify that. But now we've got this problem where I've got to figure out a way to get a nut on the other end. I got to stick it way up into the case, put a nut on the other end, so that this doesn't knock around on the inside or lift, and then, you know, you lose your oil pressure. So we are in some really fun times. I knew I was going to have to do this too. Sometimes you just don't think of the future. I guess I get to make a special little tool now, which I like doing anyways. But do you ever get like anxious to do something, but it also is like physically making you anxious? Because I just know that this is going to be a tedious afternoon.